They say you can live with someone for decades and still not truly know them. I used to laugh at that. I thought it only happened to reckless people, people who ignored red flags, who rushed into marriage. But me? I was careful. I believed in us. In her. Her name was Emily. My wife for 16 years. My partner. My person. We weren't perfect. No couple is. We had our share of fights about finances, parenting, who forgot the anniversary again. But through it all, I thought we had something real, solid, unshakable. Until one evening, a perfectly ordinary, rainy Tuesday, I came home, and everything I thought I knew about my life crumbled. I remember that day vividly. I had just picked up Lily's favorite takeout after a long client meeting. My briefcase was soaked through. My shoes made what prints on the hallway floor. But I didn't care. I was humming, actually. Some silly tune from the radio. I was thinking about how Lily aced her science test and how Emily promised to open a bottle of wine tonight. Just another regular day, until it wasn't. Emily was in the kitchen, sitting completely still, her hands wrapped tightly around a ceramic mug. She didn't look up when I entered. No smile. No greeting. Just silence. Thick, cold, and suffocating. "Hey," I said softly, putting the bag on the counter. "I got your favorite. We need to talk." Those 4 words. They hit harder than a slap. The tone in her voice was wrong. Not nervous. Not scared. Just done. I sat across from her, my stomach already twisting. "What's going on, Emily?" She finally looked at me, and there it was. Distance. The kind of distance you don't come back from. "I've been unhappy," she said, her voice even and detached. "For a long time." "What do you mean?" "I met someone else." Those words echoed in my head like a bell tolling inside a cathedral. Loud. Heavy. Final. I stared at her, waiting for the punchline. Waiting for her to laugh, to say it was a cruel joke, to roll her eyes and say I took too long to notice the new haircut. But she didn't smile. "You met someone?" I managed. "Yes. I didn't plan it, but it happened. And I've made a decision. I'm leaving." I couldn't move. Couldn't speak. The woman I had built a life with, a home, a child, a future, was calmly telling me she had met someone else, and she was leaving. As if it were a business deal. As if she were just changing banks or subscriptions. "Who?" I asked, though I already feared the answer. She hesitated. A flicker of guilt. "Maybe. Ryan." Tom stopped. "Ryan, my business partner. The man I'd co-founded the company with. The man who toasted us on our 5th wedding anniversary. The man who hugged Lily at her first school play and whispered, 'She's got your smile.' That Ryan." My blood went cold. "Are you serious?" "Ryan. It just happened." That phrase. God, I hate that phrase. Nothing just happens. You make choices. You cross lines. You let things bloom in shadows until they rot everything in the light. "Does Lily know?" I asked. She shook her head. "Not yet. I thought we'd tell her together." "Tell her what, exactly?" "That her mother's leaving her for her dad's best friend." Emily winced, but didn't deny it. "I'm not abandoning her. I'll still be in her life. You're walking out of her home. Out of our home. Don't sugarcoat it, Emily. You're leaving." That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the edge of Lily's bed, listening to her breathe as she dreamed, her hair tangled, her arms wrapped around the same stuffed lion I gave her on her 3rd birthday. How was I supposed to tell her? How do you explain betrayal to a child? That her mother didn't die. She just chose another life. A life without us. The next morning, I made pancakes with a smile that felt like broken glass. And when Lily rubbed her eyes and wandered into the kitchen, asking, "Where's Mom?" I lied. I said she had an early meeting, because I didn't have the strength to shatter her world. Not yet. After Emily left, the silence in our house wasn't peaceful, it was haunted. Her absence wasn't just the missing sound of her footsteps or the empty spot at the dining table. It was in the things she didn't take. Her scarf still draped over the banister. Her perfume lingering on Lily's pillow. A pair of shoes she never wore but always said she might. It was like she died and forgot to tell anyone. Except, of course, she hadn't died. She had just moved in with Ryan. The day she left, she took only one suitcase and her favorite coat. She didn't even say goodbye to Lily in person. She sent a text. A text. Lily stared at it for over 10 minutes. I watched her from the hallway, saw her eyes blink slower, her face collapse in on itself. And then, without a word, she walked to the bathroom and locked the door. I knocked, begged her to talk. All I heard was the click of the lock and the sound of the shower running. For an hour. She didn't want to be seen crying. That was the day something shifted in Lily. She became quiet, sure, but sharper too. She stopped asking questions and started noticing things instead, the way I hesitated when she mentioned her mom, the way my hands trembled pouring coffee, the way I buried myself in emails just to feel useful. She saw it all, and she didn't complain. But she started drawing. A lot. Sketches of broken glass. Torn family photos. A bird in a cage with the door wide open but the wings torn off. I wanted to reach her. To fix it. To undo the damage. But I couldn't even fix myself. At work, Ryan had the audacity to act like nothing had happened. He showed up to meetings in freshly pressed suits, whistling, smiling, making inside jokes like old times, as if he hadn't just detonated a bomb in my life. When I confronted him, finally, after days of bottling up the storm, he had the gall to say, "Look, man, I didn't mean for it to happen. You two were falling apart. Emily and I just connected. We were not falling apart," I snapped. She was lying. "And you? You were supposed to be family." He shrugged, like a teenager caught with a bad excuse. "We can still work together. Let's not let personal drama ruin the business." Personal drama. He stole my wife, my daughter's mother, my peace, and he wanted us to shake hands and move on? I wanted to punch him, but I didn't, because I knew if I sank to his level, I'd be giving him one more thing to hold over me. Weeks passed, then months. Emily didn't visit. She didn't call. Lily's birthdays came and went. Her art shows. Her piano recital. Nothing. Sometimes Lily would stare out the window on Sunday afternoons, as if she half expected Emily to pull into the driveway and say, "I made a mistake." But she never did. So Lily stopped looking, and we began to build our own life, smaller, quieter, but ours. I took over morning routines. Pancakes on Mondays. Waffles on Fridays. I even learned how to braid her hair from YouTube tutorials, though most mornings, it ended in lopsided ponytails and laughter. We started watching cheesy old movies together, painting the garage into a studio, growing herbs on the windowsill, and slowly, the wounds started to scar over. Until one Thursday afternoon, a thick envelope arrived by courier. A letter from Emily's attorney. She wanted shared custody. She wanted a portion of the company profits. She wanted spousal support. My hands trembled holding the papers, not because I feared her, but because of the cold calculation behind it. She hadn't checked on Lily in months. She hadn't even tried. But now she wanted to re-establish connection for the child's emotional benefit? And her reasoning for the money? Mrs. Carter provided substantial emotional labor and domestic support during the business's foundational years. I laughed, not from humor, from disbelief. Emily wanted credit for the very years she had chosen to erase. That night, I sat Lily down and told her the truth. Not all of it. She didn't need to carry every shard. But enough. Mom wants to come back into your life. Through court. She didn't react at first. Just stared at me, then said, "Does she want me, or just to win?" I didn't answer, because she already knew. I never thought we'd end up here, in court, fighting over the one thing that should have been sacred, our daughter. But there we were. Rows of polished wooden benches. A judge who looked like he'd rather be golfing. Lawyers shuffling papers and whispering strategy behind folders labeled with our names, like we were just another case file in a long line of broken families. Emily sat across the room in a gray suit, her hair perfectly styled, her expression unreadable. Ryan wasn't with her. I suppose even he knew some wars you don't walk into. I had prepared for this moment. My lawyer, Hannah, sharp, relentless, and emotionally invested after hearing everything I'd been through, had built our case methodically. She'd gathered texts, bank records, school attendance logs, testimony from Lily's teachers and therapist. We didn't just want to block Emily's custody demand. We wanted full, legal custody. Permanent. No shared visitation. No loopholes. Because Emily didn't just walk out of our lives. She abandoned them. In court, Emily's legal team painted a very different picture. They spoke of a strained emotional state that led her to temporarily withdraw from family life. They said she was ready to heal and co-parent. They brought in a therapist, one who had never met Lily, to testify that maternal connection is vital for adolescent emotional development. And then Emily took the stand. And that's when the lies began. She said I was controlling, that I shut her out emotionally, that I discouraged her from working, from growing, that I alienated her from Lily over the years. I sat there frozen, each word landing like a nail in the coffin of the woman I once loved. Lily sat beside me, gripping my hand so tightly it hurt. I didn't pull away. Then it was my turn. I didn't smear her. I didn't raise my voice. I just told the truth. I spoke about the morning Lily found her mother's message instead of her face. About the missed birthdays, the unanswered calls, the silence that spoke louder than apologies. I spoke about braiding hair with trembling hands, pretending to be okay, watching my daughter grow up with questions she never deserved to carry. The courtroom was silent. But the real moment, the one I will never forget, came when the judge asked Lily if she wanted to say anything. She stood, 14 years old, small for her age, hair tied back in a nervous twist, voice shaking. But she looked her mother in the eye and said, "You left me, Dot. You didn't call, Dot. You didn't write, Dot. You didn't even try, Dot. And now you want to come back because you're done playing house with someone else." The room held its breath. "You're not my mother," she whispered. "You're just someone I used to know." And then she sat back down. And the only sound was Emily sobbing softly into a tissue. The judge didn't need long. Custody was granted to me, full and exclusive. Emily was offered supervised visitation. She declined. In a way, that was her final act of abandonment. No apology. No fight. Just silence, once again. That night, Lily and I sat on the back porch. The stars were out. The air was cool. She rested her head on my shoulder and said, "You think people like her ever feel it? The loss." I thought for a moment. Maybe. But by the time they do, they've already thrown away the only people who cared. Time has a strange way of smoothing sharp edges. It doesn't erase pain, Dot. It doesn't make betrayal okay, Dot. But it dulls the ache, turns it from a constant scream to a quiet reminder. 3 years have passed since that final courtroom battle. And while I wouldn't say we moved on, I would say we moved forward, Dot. Deliberately. Together. Lily is 17 now. She's taller. Wiser. Fierce in the way kids are when they've been forged by fire but refuse to burn. She got into her dream art school full scholarship. Her drawings, once soaked in pain, have evolved into something breathtaking. She paints stories now, ones of survival, of rebirth, of broken things made beautiful again. Sometimes I catch her looking at old photos. Ones where Emily still stands beside us, frozen in time. But she doesn't cry anymore. She just exhales. As for me, I never remarried. Not because I'm afraid of love, but because healing required solitude. I needed to rebuild from the foundation up, not just as a father, but as a man. I started running again. I joined a local dad's group. I even took a pottery class. Turns out, I'm terrible at it, but Lily laughs every time I bring home another crooked mug, so I keep going. We made a new home. One with open windows, messy rooms, loud music, and no secrets. And then, one afternoon, it happened. An email. From Emily. It was short. Stiff. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness, Dot. I don't expect anything, Dot. But I'd like to see Lily. Just once, Dot. If she'll allow it." I read it 3 times. Then showed it to Lily. She stared at the screen for a while, then simply said, "Let's meet her. I want to see who she is now." We agreed on a coffee shop. Neutral ground. Middle of the afternoon. No drama. Emily arrived early. She looked older. Not just in the lines around her eyes, but in the way she carried herself, cautiously, like someone walking through a museum of regrets. Lily approached her without flinching. They sat. I stood at a distance, sipping my coffee and watching, ready to intervene at the slightest tremor. But there was no yelling. No accusations. No hugs. Just a quiet, honest conversation between a woman who once walked away and the daughter she left behind. When they were done, Lily came back to me. Her face unreadable. She apologized. Said she's in therapy. That Ryan left. That she realized too late what she gave up. "Do you believe her?" I asked. Lily shrugged. "Maybe. Doesn't matter, though. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done needing anything from her." That was the moment I knew my daughter was no longer a child. She had grieved. She had grown, Dot. And now she had let go. Emily hasn't reached out since. And we haven't looked back. Because some chapters aren't meant to be reopened. They're meant to be closed, not with bitterness, but with grace. We still have Sunday pancake mornings. We still plant herbs, watch cheesy rom-coms, and paint the garage walls with whatever colors we feel like that week. And sometimes, late at night, Lily says, "We're gonna be okay, right?" And I always answer the same way. We already are.